Hello, welcome back to Swingate Crossing. This is episode 7, and today I'm going to tell you about how I started planting the hedges. So the first bit I'm going to do is the hedges, and I've bought myself one of these pan scourers, cheap thing. I think it cost about £1.69, and it's about a scale 2 foot thick, which is the width just over or just under the width across the front of the layout here. So that's more than you want to cut. Hedges were only in that time were generally about 5 foot high, 4 foot 6, 5 foot high, something like that, because you were cutting them by hand and you did not want to have to climb a ladder just to cut a field hedge. So you could, with a swap hook, which is a sort of curved cutting blade that you held with one hand, you could swap down the side and then swap across the top while remaining firmly on the ground. So that's about 20 millimeters high. So what I'm going to do now is, on the layout, measure the length of the 2 bits of hedge I'm going to do around the sheep field first, and then I'll cut them out, and then we'll scenically treat them after that. So here on the layout, I'm going to come along here like this. I've got this black marker which does just about show on the dark green of the thing, so going to hedge will be about there. So if I cut across here, then any corner join will be hidden from the front. I shall also need to put a little bit in there so that when you're looking at the layout from this direction, you see the hedge continuing on. So that's got that bit done, and then on the other side I will measure for this bit of hedge there. So the first thing will be to measure off the 20 millimeter height of the hedge. I'm going to cut it fairly straight to start with. I can always put little cut chunks out of the top of the hedge where it hasn't grown properly, or it's died off or whatever. I can always do that afterwards. I think it's going to be easier that way round. So there we go. Now, next question is, are these scissors going to cope with this stuff? Yeah. So we'll cut the strip off. Now the other thing to do will be to grab, I think, one of a guards van and just pop it onto the track so I can make sure that I've got clearance for the hedge, so that I have actually cut these things to the right length. So we pop that in there. That one want to go out a little bit there. Right, so I've cut these 2 pieces out. Now I shall have to find a little bit of wood, I think, drill a couple of holes in it so I can put cocktail sticks in, so that this can be put on while I'm doing the scenic treatment. I think it'll work easier that way. I won't get gluey fingers, because what I'm going to do is coat these in a bit of scenic scatter to represent the foliage, because this looks like a very neat cut privet hedge or yew hedge or something like that that's just been freshly cut. And this is late summer. I'm generally early autumn, about the time I'm doing this actually, when the hedges have grown a bit. I think possibly when it comes to the nursery hedge, I might actually have someone cutting the hedge, so part of it would be cut and part of it would be rough. We'll see how that goes. But so here I've got the spray glue. It's a pump action, putting your finger on top, as you can see, and I found it very difficult to use. It's quite a stiff button. It doesn't spray terribly well, and it just took an awful long time to do it. Anyway, once I'd done it, I then put it into the 30-year-old sawdust mix I've got of varying colours, sort of yellows and greens. It's a fairly light overall tone, as you can see there, but had several goes at ramming it into the sawdust so that it stuck well, and then laid it aside to dry. There we are. Doesn't look too bad, I think. Fairly uniform bit of hedge. So I've got my bits of hedge nicely breadcrumbed with scenic material to make it look a bit less like a pan scourer, and I'm now going to glue them in place. So let's get the glue. I've got one that I can use the nozzle, so squeeze along there, and then on the back end of there as well, and we pop that in place. And we do the same again along here. Go a little bit up the side there. Now while I'm doing that, I'll just show you the picture of the bit inside the tunnel here, which I did earlier in true television fashion, and that I've done so that when you're looking at it from this angle you'll still see a bit of hedge, and I should do the same over this end as well. But anyway, let's get this glued into place. Oh no, that's got to go. Need to put a bit more glue there. There we go, and we glue that in place. Well, right, there's a couple of bits there where there's some wet glue, so I've got this little tub of vacuumings, so if I just apply a little bit of that in there, that'll add just, it's got a bit of red in it, so it'll look as though there's some coloured weeds or something there just growing at the base of the hedge. Now the other thing I need to do is just run this guards band through to make sure that the rolling stock can actually get through. Yeah, it's pretty tight, but it's there. So there we are, and I'm going to carry on doing these other bits, and we'll come back on, talk to you later.